Ooh, look at that. I'm doing an episode during the day. How incredible. So, this chap over here, I have no idea who he is. I think I was working and I clicked on the video and sort of left it there in the background, and then all of a sudden he said a thing that really caught my attention. But his name is Jimmy the Giant. I'm not so sure. Jimmy the something. So Jimmy over here is apparently, or evidently I should say, a British fellow. Sort of. And he's explaining to us British culture as a general thing, goes down various avenues, describing things in a more or less accurate way. I'm not particularly interested in that bit. But then at some point, he explains what's wrong with Britain and how the British culture is being lost. And here is his thesis. Here's his conclusion. He just said something like that in Britain is different from other cultures nearby because it has allowed market ventures to spread without any form of control. That is what he's arguing. Now I apologize, there's going to be a swear word in here, but let's hear what he has to say.
Really has set Britain quite far apart from a lot of places in Europe, Southern Europe, but also all these Scandinavian nations, is that we have allowed the ideology of free market fundamentalism to infect every fucking aspect of our lives. We see simply large, big business investment into the area, growth, high GDP, profit for big companies. We see that as a fundamental good without ever considering the cultural impact of that ideology. No one ever asked the question, should we allow unlimited KFCs and Starbucks? Yes, it's business investment, but is that a good thing? Do we want that? Oh.
Do we want that? Well, dearest Jimmy, are people going to the KFCs and the Greggs and whatever it is that you talk about? In this case, we're talking about food chains. Are people going to food chains? Because if people don't go to the buildings that have proliferated in such a way, what do you reckon will happen to those buildings? Two possible options. Option number one, the business will close. Fairly simple. Option number two, your awful government, whichever it is, will subsidize said business in order for it not to close. Now, there's lots of nuance to be discussed in this, because contrary to what anybody may think based on how I'm reacting to this, one may be led to believe that I am for, or I'm in full support of capitalism as we have it today, which is silly. In fact, in any form, I am not for capital controlling power in any way. Political power, that is. It is quite common that capital affects power in almost every system. Now, setting that aside, right? Pretending that KFC and Greggs and so on and so forth don't have an influence on political parties, because they do. They're called special interests. Milton Friedman talks about this at length. Rest in peace. But so this fella says Jimmy, that is, says a couple of really funny things. For example, he says, "Do we want that?" So much wrong in one sentence. Dear Jimmy, you are not we. In fact, dear Jimmy, I am not we. Dear Jimmy, nobody is we. There is such a thing as a we, observationally. One can observe trends. One can look at things, which, by the way, you are clearly refusing to do. I'm not quite sure why. set that aside. But what you are doing, which is revolting and very common, is you are collectivizing your own opinions. You are projecting your opinion of something on a people, and then using the fallacy of appeal to what's it called? I should probably known this before I talk about fallacies like a smarty pants, but it's one of the it's mob rule, appeal to the mob rule, appeal to mob authority. Basically, because there's lots of people, this we, which you have invented, so we're clear, okay. This we doesn't want the KFCs or the Greggs or whatnot. No, this is all incorrect. What you are saying is that you don't like the proliferation of these particular chains for whatever reason that suits you, which is fine. And now you're pretending that I or anybody else is part of this we, of this you, and we agree with you, which we don't. In fact, if those businesses are still running, chances are they are running and proliferating because they are successful. Now, these are global companies, though I'm not sure how global Greggs is. I don't think I've ever seen a Greggs anywhere else other than in Britain. But, let's go with KFC. That's about as global as it gets, right? Because they're global, they can use profit from place A, where they may be very successful, to attempt and penetrate a different market in place B, basically using the funds from place A to fund place B past the stage of the difficult initial growth. So there is some degree of sort of cultural cheating because of globalism in that machinery. I don't think it's wrong in any way. It's just what happens. But again, assuming that these particular companies are not subsidized, which they might be, in that case, they do whatever the people do want. In other words, Jimmy, your key of reading of how this works is so spectacularly backwards that I'm not really sure what anybody can do to aid you with your mental clarity. Do you know what? I want to listen to him again because there were some more bits. So I'm going to redo this bit and then I'm going to try and remember what I missed because there was one more thing I wanted to listen to. So specifically this bit, once again with gusto. Go ahead, Jimmy, take us away.
He has set Britain quite far apart from a lot of places in Europe, Southern Europe, but also all these Scandinavian nations, is that we have allowed the ideology of free market fundamentalism to...
We have allowed. You are not we, you haven't allowed Jack in any sense, right? In the democratic machinery, which is not democratic, okay, you elect some people to represent you, and then those people may or may not have had anything to do with this. Because most likely there is no meaningful restriction, if you come in with capital to invest and you say, I am going to purchase or rent this building that is unused, I am then going to furnish it, I am then going to hire staff, I am then going to train the staff, and then I'm going to sell a product, in this case, burgers or whatever. Right? You haven't allowed anything. It happens on its own. What you mean to say is we haven't prohibited. Now, we would still be wrong. The pronoun we would still be incorrect. What you mean to say is my tyrannical government has not prohibited the entry of KFC, which for reasons I am not 100% certain, you want, apparently. And I underline you, not we, not me, not us. You. Carry on.
infect every fucking aspect of our lives. We see simply...
What do you mean infect every aspect of your life? Definitionally speaking, these various companies are very specific. They do something very specific. In the case of the food industry, the clue is in the name. They do food. Now, considering that you're British and you have never seen food, you do not know what food looks like, and that's okay, I forgive you. I'm Italian, I can say that. Right? You've got these companies coming in, providing a service, and your people go there. Which means what you're saying is catastrophically false. Continue.
Large, big business investment into the area, growth, high GDP, profit for big companies. We see that.
Easy. Lots of things you said. High GDP. Long discussion, but basically all countries are totally insolvent from a governmental perspective. So it doesn't really matter how much the GDP grows if your debt is so absurdly substantial. Right? That's almost a non sequitur. I don't really know how it's got anything to do with that. High profit for large companies. All of your adjectives don't mean anything. Profit for a company or profit for an individual is the source of life. It's what you want to do. You want to trade in your time. In fact, this is precisely what you're doing right now, which is boggles the mind. I believe you have 700,000 subscribers. Presumably this video came out. Presumably you put out this video so an audience listens, engages, some like, some dislike, and I'm starting to learn this myself right now, but anyway, right? And you are presumably monetized, right? Therefore, what you are doing is you're making a video that costs you X amount of time, X amount of money, and your gear costs X amount, and then there's basic costs like electricity, that sort of thing, right? So all of these things account in your little cost column, right? And then there is an earnings column. And you want that earnings column to be larger than the cost column. I mean, the number within. That, my friend, is called profit. That is what you do. You are doing it right now. What is this weird sanctimonious thing that, I don't know, McDonald's can't do it? The people that work within McDonald's can't do it. Why do slow people talk so much? I don't know, because I'm surely slow compared to others, so perhaps I should silence myself. Large profits for big companies. Just this sentence just flung out. It just sort of it's just air coming out of the mouth, right? But there's meanings in those words, sir, and I'm not quite sure you're aware of them. Goodness.
As a fundamental good, without ever considering the cultural impact of that ideology. No one.
Which ideology? The ideology of fact. The thing that you're doing right now. You utter hypocrite. The cultural impact of things is of all sorts. Also, my friend, you are British. Sort of. Why are you wearing an Under Armour shirt? Why are you using... I'm not sure what microphone it is, but I presume it's German. Why are you using a camera that I presume to be Japanese or Korean? I don't know. Certainly all of it made in China. What? What are you talking about? Bless him.
I never asked the question, should we allow unlimited KFCs and Starbucks?
Should we allow unlimited videos from Ponces on the internet? I'm staring you in the eye just like you're doing to me. Actually, sorry, I need to look at the camera to do that. He's slow, pretty hard. I need to leave now because I kind of ran out of things to say. So unlike this fella, I shall stop. Goodbye.